Okay, my friends, I am on a mission. This is Bill Holman. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And he is on a mission as well with the crystal skull, which I have literally proven is authentic and real. And I need to talk to him and discuss this with him. I'd like to have some kind of engagement because I am supporting exactly what Anna Mitchell Hedges said. She found this skull, and it is real and legitimate, and her entire life she was called a fraud, and that just cannot stand. All right, I'm just going to start this right off by a plea to speak with Bill Holman about his head, which is the Mitchell Hedges. He's the caretaker of this right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, as I showed, this is a scan of a person's brain fibers. And this is inside his skull. Now, I have seen this from a multitude of different angles and shots, and this is the one that shows the fibers and actually the cerebrum pushed forward because he was laying on his face, the nose pushed back, the lip pushed back, and I understand exactly how this chemistry happened and how this invasion happens in soft tissues. And I wrote the paper back in 2015 on fascia-facilitated fossilization. Fascia coats all of everything, and your skin is fascia, the scalp and all that is fascia. It depends on the conditions that it was in, how it fossilized, but it's called nucleophilic invasion and substitution. It involves boiling, and a long process of boiling until there is nothing left but tissues and fibers, and primarily it's the insulation around the nerve fibers and the membranes. Those are the things that you can actually see. They don't change like the tissues on your body, like the skin, and they're a little bit different, and they preserve better. So it's nucleophilic invasion and substitution of different tissues. And different tissues get invaded differently. So I want to talk to Bill, if I could, Bill Holman. Now, this is Roger at mudfossils.com, and that's my email address. And if I can get a hold of him, or somebody can get a hold of him, I'm trying right now. And I'm on a mission to clear Anna Mitchell Hedges' legacy. She stuck up her whole life in saying, this is true, this is what happened, I'm not going to back down, and I really respect people that can do that. And as far as I'm concerned, well, I know there's no question in my mind, and there's nobody question in anybody's mind if their mind is open enough to see what they see. As I have shown, I'm going to show it again today. But I'm just going to make something kind of short so that Bill Holman will know that I am 100% serious, that I can make this. I understand the chemistry. Primarily, that's the most important thing. And at the same time, I'm going to clear my friend Emanuel Velikowski's name, too. He was maligned his whole life, as I have been since I discovered the Mudfossils. But my Mudfossils proves everything that they also said. So I'm packaging this all up in one big beautiful package. All right, this again is Bill Holman, and I'm talking about crystal. Crystal is silicon. All right, this is like almost flawless silicon. Now, what is silicon? It's salacious ooze, and it's on the ocean floor. You know why it's on the ocean floor? It weighs 2.6 times more than water. Water is roughly 1 gram per cubic centimeter, and salacious ooze is 2.6 grams per cubic centimeter. It's 2.6 times heavier than water. So it sinks to the bottom of the ocean, and it's deep. I think it's a couple miles deep in a lot of places. We almost got hit by Venus, or did get hit, and the ocean just went like this and stirred because the Earth virtually stopped. And that's what the ancient texts say. They stopped for a day. True? I don't know. But I know that the whole world was covered with the Salacious ooze. And of that there is no question. Even Yale agrees with that it was silica-dense waters, and they have no explanation for it. I do, because Venus almost hit Earth. And that's what caused all that Salacious ooze to come up. And this, I understand now, I believe pretty well, the conditions that was in when this happened and created this particular skull. Now, I'd like to know exactly where it was found and the contour of the area where it was found in and all of that stuff, because all of that plays into this. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think there's anybody in a world that can dismiss this. See, you can't. There's no way they could have put those fibers in there. There's absolutely no way. They wouldn't have wrinkled up the nose and the lip. It was in like this, and that's why the cerebrum has come forward instead of a big bulbous thing in the back here. It's come forward. There's no question. Literally, there is no question. If somebody wants to question this, I would love to discuss it, but I need to be able to get a little more pictures and discussion with Bill. If he will do it, I'd certainly be 100% willing and thrilled. All right, I also claim that the Salacious ooze is not just some kind of little sea creatures. Most of this is from skin and the coating of people's bodies and the breakdown of that tissue. And in my paper in 2015, I wrote that it was the skin was 50 times more dense in silicon. Somewhere in here, this is a paper. All right, the fibers are infused with silicon. And I'm talking about the different, the stuff we're talking about, the fascia, collagens and fabric, these elastin sheets. This is what it's all about. And look, skin has 50 times the silicon as other tissue. I put this in this paper in 2015. That's where all this weight is coming from. There's 50 times more silicon in your skin than the rest of your body. The skin erodes and turns into mud, basically, and then the silicon washes out of it and turns into Salacious ooze. These are not just sea creatures. They say, oh, these are just sea creatures that collected on the ocean floor. Well, some of them maybe, yeah. I don't disagree 100% with that. But most of this is skin tissue, which is dense in silicon. If the sea creatures were dense in silicon, well, that's fine too. But I know for sure that the skin is 50 times more dense in silicon. And that's what, in my mind, that's where the Salacious ooze has settled to. All right, I'm going to leave it with this. I'm just hoping that Bill Holman will contact me, or I can get in touch with him somehow, and we can have a discussion, an interview, where we talk back and forth about this crystal skull. I really haven't done enough deep research on this, other than to know, as a molecular, biological, chemical scientist, this is real. There's no question whatsoever. There's nobody could put these in here. It's impossible. So I'm going to start off with as far as I'm concerned, proof that this is real, and then we're going to talk about how it was on its face and how the cerebrum drifted forward. And this I'd like to understand, is that a cavity? I think that might be a cavity. If it's not, it's a protrusion. I don't know. These are the things I can't tell for sure, but I can tell you one thing for sure. These are the fibers that run up to do whatever they do in this area. Every area has its own function to make your nervous, communicate to your muscles and other things, taste and smell and sight and feeling and emotions. I mean, it's staggering, absolutely staggering what the human body, and specifically the mind. And all of this, I'm going to tell you right now, this is just a program, 100% program. DNA is the 100% program. You with me? 100% program. And you know who programs the DNA? You know who programs your DNA? Bacteria. I'm not kidding you. We need to have a big, long discussion about this because it's just incredible what bacteria can do. It can make you immune. It can make you sick. It can break down your food. It can break down bad stuff and move it around in your body. I mean, bacteria is everything, basically, the human body. It makes all the enzymes. Enzymes are the things that do the chemistry. They make you immune, too. They break down your food. I mean, it's just staggering what bacteria can do. And it's just overlooked like it's nothing. It's the most important thing in your whole body. And the good bacteria is really what you have to have. Otherwise, you don't digest your food, you don't kill your enemies, you don't heal your wounds, you don't build your muscles, your bones, you don't clean your system, you don't do anything without the enzymes because they're created by the bacteria. So this goes into layer, and it all started with mud fossils. All right? Mr. Holman, I would certainly love to talk to you, my good friend. All right, thank you all. I love you all. Bye. All right. I wrote this 10 years ago, Mud Fossils and Velikovsky and Minds in Collision. Velikovsky wrote Worlds in Collision. And it was a bestseller. 11 weeks on the top 10. I mean, number 1 on New York Times. And they forced him to take it off the bookshelves. He says about in the 15th century BC, planet Venus was ejected from Jupiter and hit Earth, or almost hit Earth, and then went around and I guess affected us again, and then hit right into Mars and destroyed Mars. That's why Mars is the dead red planet. It was just exactly like Earth before, as far as I can determine. And when it was hit, it literally, Venus sucked the magnetic field right off it, and it ejected it just like a bolt of lightning off of Mars. Mars has no magnetic field anymore. And at the same time, it scraped right across the surface of Mars, wider than the United States. There's a lot of discussion we need to do. Velikovsky said everybody on Earth had the same story. Every culture, that Jupiter, the feared god Jupiter, gave birth to the fiery comet, which later turned out to be Venus, from the Great Red Spot. And it hit Earth, or almost hit Earth. And I believe that's what created the Grand Canyon. And this is the impact into Mars. It scraped right across here. This is wider than the whole United States. And it just, and it sucked off the magnetic field right out of here like a discharge. And here's what it did to Venus. That's a welding arc. Everybody's seen this as, yeah, that's a welding arc. There's no question about that. I'm a welder. I know for a fact that's a welding arc. And it is. It's an electric arc where it's not quite touching, and it's, somebody didn't know what they're doing would do that. You're supposed to make both of them melt at the same. Anyway, this is a welding arc. Now, this looks to me like an impact zone here, and this looks like another impact zone here. Could it be? I don't know. But it does look like it to me. Now, we got hit, I'm almost 100% sure, and that created the Grand Canyon, and that's why we have all the uranium mines there, is because it pushed all that energy into the Earth. Mars got hit, and it just gouged the hell out of Mars and killed it. And this was all written about, that this was predicted they were going to do this, to get rid of all the giants on the Earth and kill all of the bad stuff going on Earth. And then apparently it was also designated to come and kill the god of war, which is Mars. And it did. It wiped it right out. And Mars has all the same stuff on its surface that we have on our surface, only it's dried and dead now because it has no moisture anymore and no magnetic field and no atmosphere to speak of. All right, so he's talking about going all around the world and looking for all of these ancient things. He's opened his mind enough to realize there's much more to this thing than we've been told, this Earth and our history.
Why not?
Why not?
let's find the truth and bring the truth out. You know, it's gonna shake up people, but you know what? People are ready they're ready for the truth. And
I believe you, Bill, and I'm ready to help you with it, my friend. So let's see what Bill has planned here.
And it's not just, you know, one person here. It seems like it's a collective thing where people are waking up to the fact that, you know, that just because it's written in a history book, it's not always right.
Maligned her entire life, Anna Mitchell Hedges deserves to be exonerated in the general media. This is the kind of stuff that really upsets me. But anyway, she claimed to find a skull, 1924. He's doing a little, you know, he's selling some time to meet with him about this skull, the skull of doom. Whether you can communicate with it or not, I don't know any of that stuff. All I know is that thing is a real skull of a real, I guess it's human, but it does have some characteristics that don't fit exactly Homo sapien. Whether they were embellishments and adornments on the guy's head, like glasses or that type of thing, because there's a band around his head that looks a little strange, I cannot account for. But anyway, I really want to talk to Bill Holman about this head, because it's now been certified by me that it's real. And if anybody can dispute that, I want somebody to dispute it. And I'd like to talk to Bill about it and be part of a conversation with an interview or something, speaking about how this process would happen. Because everybody, oh, it's impossible, it can't happen. Yes, it can. And it did. And I understand it. I understand it very well. Now, I respect this guy for his mind, basically. He's looking at the connections of these ancient stories that we're talking about, these crystal skulls and about all these different things. I haven't ever looked into the crystal skull ancient texts. I want to look at that now, because this is new to me. But I can tell you what, that skull is real. All right, now there is a lot of stories about crystal skulls and how if you had put 13 of them together, something would happen and the universe would be unsealed or something. I'm not going to get into that because I have no evidence about that whatsoever. All I do is I have the evidence to show that his skull is true. Now, so I said, well, maybe there's some ancient texts. Because that's where I go to the ancient texts. Apollodorus, Hesiod primarily, and Ovid. Those are my best sources. But then you got tons of them. There's Herodotus, and I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Plato. Now, this is AI, this is Google AI, and it just says there are no crystal skull ancient texts. The skulls themselves are modern creations. We know that's not true anymore. They're not pre-Columbian artifacts. This is not true. AI is not true. This is artificial indoctrination now. A lot of this has become artificial indoctrination. They say my stuff is not true too because it's not peer-reviewed. Well, they won't peer-review it. And you're not going to hear from any anthropologists, archaeologists, any of them about this. They say it's ancient texts, legends, fabrication, popular culture, and mysticism. Anthropological research shows they were made in modern times. No, it doesn't. It shows that they could see little lines in the skull, and I'm going to tell you what that is right now. It's a ponderosus tendon. It's in your skull. Okay, I'm not going to point any nasty fingers, but a ponderosus tendon is on your skull. Epicranial aponeurosis, also known as Galea aponeurotica, is a tough, broad, tendon-like sheet of tissue that covers the top of the skull. It's a key structure in the scalp connecting the frontal and occipital muscles to enable movements like raising the eyebrows. It's straps, which they saw, and they're tiny, tiny little straps. Let me show you. All right, so we know that there's this aponeurosis tendon that wraps all around your head. And that's what they saw with these little groove lines, because they come down in these little bundles, and then they eventually end up with collagen fibrils. But between coming from one big rope bundle, the tendon, breaking down to the tertiary, to the secondary, to the primary, to the collagen fibril, then down to the fiber, to the collagen fibril, which is the tiniest. And every time it multiplies it by a bazillion, because there's a whole ton of these in these, and there's a whole ton of these in these, and there's a whole ton of these in these, and these, and these, and these, until you get down until the fiber is so fine, it's unbelievable. This is at the end of the fibers as they break down until you get to the tips. This is Getty Images, Steve Gushmanushka. And these are what they look like, actual tendon. That's an actual tendon. All right, you see the little bundles, you see, and you see the little blocks? Those blocks are there so that that thing can just move enough, but it doesn't break apart. And there's 28 different collagen fibrils. That's why there's different colors here. And what does that mean? There's different tensile strengths and different flexibilities. All that stuff is built into the chemistry of each one of those fibers. And it appears to me that you can have all different ones in the same tendon bundle. So you might have one that's real strong and one that's not so strong. And it lets you have this play and this movement and all that stuff, because the human body's just stunningly amazing what it can do. Okay, once again, the experts need to be trained in multiple areas of science. This is the crystal skull. I mean, this is a crystal skull. That is where the nerve fibers run, and there is no difference. And let me show you why they claim that the crystal skull was manufactured. It's because these little lines that they can see, they say were only made by modern machinery, and they didn't have that, so it couldn't be made. Well, it's just the natural aponeurosis tendon. I'll show it to you. It's very, very simple to see if they looked to see what a human being looks like when you strip away the outer fleshy stuff and the hair and so forth, because that's the weak stuff that goes. Then you hit that tendon. Tendon is tough. That's why tendon is the toughest stuff there is, basically. Okay, this is obviously a human head, and this is as well. And we're looking at different depths of tissue, and the muscle, and the aponeurosis tendon, and so forth. I'm going to home in right up here on where it is the aponeurosis tendon, and how it wraps up from the muscles in the forehead, and then it just becomes tendon. So let's look at this. That's what they see. They're seeing those little stripes. And they're saying, oh, they must have done that with some kind of new tool from 19 whatever. Well, that's the bundles of tendon, aponeurosis tendon. I think we can easily prove this thing, and I really want to talk to Bill Holman. Now, the beauty of this thing is we wrap everything up in one big package. If I can get together with Bill Holman about this, I mean, the lip is turned. I know how all this stuff happened. The nose is pushed back. All of this stuff, I understand. The cerebrum is pushed forward, and there's an open expanse of silicon. Why is there silicon here? What's going on? How did all this stuff form? What is the chemistry involved? What was the conditions? We need to look at the area where it was found. I believe it was in Belize. And I need to see what the contour of the things are in that area, which would lead to the chemistry which could create this. And I think I understand it now pretty well. I mean, I've been studying this for a long time. It's been 15 years. I've been really digging deep into how mud fossils form and why rocks were once bones. And they say, "Oh, no, that can't be. They don't fossilize in that manner." Well, they do. But they have to be in a certain condition which doesn't exist today, where is extreme amounts of silicon in the water, supersaturated, which filled in all the veins of quartz, which are actually arteries, because they're the ones that open up. You know, this is not too far from wrong. Quartz veins are formation of quartz, which is silicon dioxide. That's what quartz is made of. It's a mineral made of silica. It fills cracks and fissures in existing rocks and tubes, which are the veins of quartz. They're formed when hot, silica-rich fluids, I agree with that, often from deep underground, circulate through the rock and precipitate dissolved silica to fill the open spaces. Where did all the silica come from? It's forming mineral deposits. The veins vary in size from such and such millimeters to several meters and can sometimes contain other minerals like gold, calcite, sulfides, making them economically important. These are arteries that fill with the silica, and the silica is not, it won't happen now. The only reason it happened because the salacious ooze came off the ocean floors. Okay, so I think I've shown a pretty good case for the crystal skull being real, and this is something that would solve all these problems at once. If the world knew that this was real and how it was done, and then could look into the mud fossils, and that's what I'm asking for. And I'm asking for Bill Holman to contact me, if he please would, roger@mudfossils.com. Now, I have papers on academia.edu. It's called Fascia-facilitated fossilization from 2015, when I realized how this was done. It was nucleophilic invasion and substitution. And it happens in hot waters. And I would go through all of this stuff on an interview with anybody that has a reach that we can get this stuff out. I named them mud fossils. An original paper was called Fascia-facilitated fossilization. It's on academia.edu. Now, again, roger@mudfossils.com. I would certainly love to speak to Mr. Holman about this, and we could solve all our problems at once. Velikowski will be vindicated. I'll be vindicated. Mary Schweitzer will be vindicated. And there's others that have been making statements about these things, and Bill Holman will be evident, and the biggest one of all is going to be Anna Mitchell Hedges. She was called a fraud her entire life, from only 17 years old until she died. And they still just a couple days ago put it on another, why did she lie all that time? What was her reason for lying? Why would she be such a fraud? I'm not kidding you. It infuriated me. So I did a video about it saying, no, that's not true. And I want to speak to Bill Holman. I really, really do. All right, so please, Mr. Holman, my name is Roger Spur, and I'm 100% certain of what you have is a real thing. And I need a little more look here and there at it, just for my own interest. But there's no question it is real. There's nobody could put these fibers inside that. And the reason they said it wasn't real, because they found these little grooves going back and forth down through the head. That's on a ponerosis tendon. I've just shown it. Can't show any better than that. So, my friends, it all starts here. If I can get Mr. Holman to speak with me, and we can start to show this, because he's got connections, and people have been following him for many years now. And the people that understand what they're looking at are probably very frustrated, as I am, because the people that should be looking at this objectively will not do that. They've already made their opinion up, and it supports their way of life and their funding and status and all that stuff. That's wonderful. But start to embrace this and relate it to your understanding of what you've been taught. Because just having somebody tell you something about our ancient history, just as Bill Holman said, he said, just because it's written in the textbook doesn't mean it's real. And he's correct 100% about that. Roger at mudfossils.com. This is the deal. Very simple. We can be done with this in a couple of weeks, and we can start to understand our ancient true past. All right? Thank you.